So, Andrea, welcome. And let's begin with my question. So, all my listeners already know about what MindHub does, right? Everybody is pretty well informed about the company, but we would like to know about what stage is MindHub currently in? What's going on with the company right now? Can you give us some color about that?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me, Victor, and thank you for your support through all this time. But we are in a super exciting, very busy phase at MindHub. We spent the first few years really focused on developing the platform to where it is, building our network and our ecosystem base, signing our first customers, and making sure they're happy. And now we're really transitioning to this growth phase where we have the foundation, we have a very mature product. That being said, we continue to invest in product development. So we are launching new features, always trying to increase the value that we give to our customers. A lot of that is based on customer feedback from our existing customers or from our sales conversations. They'll say, well, it'd be really great if you had a consolidated map or if you had this type of reporting. And so we take all of that feedback. We have a very strong technical team. So we're very busy at MindHub and continuing to improve the platform, even though it's already quite mature, but with new enhancements that add value to our customers and to the market. So that's a big focus area. The second really big focus area is first and foremost our customers. We have a solid customer base that relies on the platform, business critical technology. If we're down even for an hour, they can't receive trucks at the plant. So we're very focused on keeping our customers happy. And then we are very busy with sales. So traditionally, we focused on copper and aluminum markets. If I've told you this before, and I'm sure you shared with your listeners, but there's a natural network effect in the way that we implement the platform. And so it made a lot of sense for us to focus on specific markets to really maximize that network effect. But now that we have really great market share in copper and aluminum, we are much more aggressively looking to expand the sales pipeline and our targeted outreach beyond copper and aluminum. So we've been targeting scrap metal markets, recycling, steel, zinc and lead, battery metals. And so we've been a lot more aggressive using AI tools, attending conferences, leveraging partners, and even trying some innovative email campaigns and LinkedIn campaigns where we're seeing a really great result. And so we've seen a huge growth in our pipeline, a huge amount of interest even outside of copper and aluminum markets. So that has kept us very busy, even in the summer months where it tends to be a bit of a slowdown as a lot of people are away. We're still seeing a lot of meetings and a lot of interest. And the other really big thing that's keeping us busy is actually partnership and M&A opportunities. You may have heard me talk about this before, but a few months ago, or now actually 8 months ago, earlier in the year, we started seeing all these opportunities for actual M&A or sort of acquisitions where there were smaller niche platforms where MindHub is a very natural home for those platforms, where there's synergies either on the commercial side or on the product side, or it's a market that we are keen to enter that would help us to accelerate momentum. And so we spent a lot of time evaluating opportunities, not also on the partnership side, but also on the acquisition side.
Okay, and so you've been expanding to other commodity as well, right? Are these are your scrap clients? I don't know if that's correct to say, but your clients that work with scrap metal, right? Are they already? Do you have some paying client on that front?
Not yet. So the first step has been pipeline development. So we've just been refining our messaging, testing that the platform works in those new markets. So we've been having a lot of different conversations. And now we are moving those prospects through the sales pipeline. So we start with an initial meeting. We introduce the platform, then we do a demo, we do subsequent demos, then we present to their tech teams, we present to their legal team and their operation. So we're still going through that process in the new markets because it's something that we recently launched a few months ago.
MineHub sales cycle is pretty long. We could say that, right?
Yep. Yeah, which is very standard in SaaS enterprise sales, especially given the large size of the companies that we're targeting. They're fairly large budget items to sign the platform, and it's really transforming the way that they do business. And so it would be understandable for it to be, sort of longer sales cycles, similar to what you see with many other large-scale SaaS enterprise companies. The good thing is that
after all, they are hiring their operating system, right? So you have to test a lot this kind of thing.
A lot, and we have to get buy-in from many key stakeholders, everybody from the CFO to the COO to the operations team to the legal team to audit and compliance. And so, yes, it does take time to convert these companies, and change management is not something that happens overnight, especially with such an old school industry that has been working, sort of operating the same way for hundreds of years. Many times the demographics, the type of people that we're selling to, have been in the industry for their entire career and done things the same way for their career. So even if they see the benefit, it takes time to really get the deals over the line. And that's just the reality of the situation. The good news is that once we do sign, we're signing very large companies with a huge amount of upsell opportunity, with a big ecosystem impact. And every single one of our accounts has been very, very sticky. So we've renewed all of our customers. So it takes some time and work to get them, but once we get them, they're here to stay. And every additional sort of domino that falls just allows us to expand and drive market adoption more effectively. But this is a bit of a medium to long-term play, right? I think to expect, the entire market to adopt a new way of doing things overnight is not realistic. But we're still seeing a lot of progress, a huge amount of momentum, incredible feedback from our customers. I mentioned 100% renewal, and a lot of interest from new opportunities as well, from prospects. So we're super excited.
Just a curiosity, how much time did it take to sign a client like Codelco or Southwire?
So it's good to bring up. So they're very different examples. The thing about the sales cycle too is that there's different ways that we sell. So Codelco put out what's called an RFP. So they had a specific idea that they wanted a commercial hub platform that they already had buy-in internally. And so they basically sent out to the market, to any technology provider, please submit your proposal for why we should partner with you.
Okay.
And so we submitted the proposal, and we went through the process, and we won the bid through that process. So that process took probably 6 to 9 months and that was when they already had all the requirements defined.
Mm-hmm.
But now we are a critical partner for Codelco. We're engaging now more and more with their logistics team as an internal tool to help them negotiate with shipping carriers. We're talking to Codelco about adding concentrates onto the platform. And so those 6 to 9 months created a super strong relationship now that has, longevity for the future. Southwire, they did not have an RFP process. They were our first paying customer, and they took a real leap of faith with us because at that time the platform was a lot less mature. But they had a very strong conviction about the need to digitize, and that they couldn't continue to operate in the way that they did before. And so that sales cycle was probably a year until they got comfortable. We have other customers, which it's always frustrating that we have to be very careful that we can't reveal all of our customers' names unless they approve it. But we have another very large aluminum manufacturing customer, and they were a free counterparty to another customer that we have, to a mining company, and they were buying aluminum from that mining company, so they had a free account on the platform, and that sales cycle was 5 months, including legal and everything. So there's a huge variety, sort of a big range, depending on where that company is and kind of what the process is, which is why you have to be a little bit patient, and we look for other metrics for traction, volume, the number of companies in the pipeline, the number of meetings we're getting, the number of net new deals or new opportunities that we created in our CTRM system, in our HubSpot we use to track all our opportunities. So we have a lot of sales metrics that we use to track progress. And all of them are trending up, and we're above all of our KPIs in every metric.
But it can easily take like 1 year, right?
It could take a year. It could definitely take a year. That is true. And that is a certain reality of digitizing an old school market, that it takes time. Change management is something we battle every day, but once we get them, they're here to stay. And with each deal that we get, we're better positioned for the next conversation that we have to really drive wide scale adoption.
Okay, I think that's crucial for shareholders to understand, because a lot of them are like, man, this company is not growing. And what I think is, man, it takes a lot of time to sign these clients, right? To get them on your platform. So MineHub shareholders, in my view, have to be patient, right? And how many paying clients do you have at the moment, if you can
Sure. I can't reveal
tell
all
that?
the names, unfortunately. I would love to, but we have 10 active customers, which may not seem like that many, but they're all massive billion-dollar companies, very important market leaders in aluminum and in copper. And with them have brought, very strong ecosystems. So we have 200, we've talked about this before, but we have 200 companies connected to the platform. And that may not seem like that big of a deal, but I can tell you, to get a trader like Glencore or Trafigura or any of these companies comfortable with automating data with our platform, with our data security framework, with our audit and compliance framework, was not an easy feat. Their data they view as their IP, or their intellectual property. So for them to even agree to share data with an external platform is pretty unprecedented. They don't do that. So it was a huge accomplishment to get all of the key, the largest traders and all the largest mining companies actually actively sharing data with the platform. And we're really proud of that. And we view that as the long-term advantage of MineHub, is that we will have the key market participants connected in one integrated ecosystem using the same network or platform. And so early on, we really invested in building that ecosystem rather than signing paying customers, because we knew that ecosystem was going to be the necessary foundation in order to really convert paying customers. And like I told you in that example before, where we had an aluminum customer that was buying from the aluminum miner, once they're a free customer on the platform and they're familiar with our team and they get to know the platform, that sales cycle it is shorter, because they're already familiar with the platform. And so a key part of our strategy has been connecting the companies and then converting them. But that conversion takes time too, right? Because you go through legal. A lot of times we get audits on our data security. Sometimes they hire external consultants to try to hack the system. This is not a small undertaking. This is a customer's operating system, as you say, with all of their critical, most confidential data for their entire core business. And if we were hacked, that would be, that would be really bad for our customers. And so we do everything to ensure that the platforms are secure. We spend a lot of time investing in that, but our customers vet us extensively also. That's part of the process. And the good thing is that once we get this seal of approval, then data flows seamlessly. And that's how we've been able to connect to 200 of the largest trading companies, miners, and manufacturers, is by making that investment. But now we're really switching gears towards revenue generation. So converting to paying customers, which, as we talked about, takes time. The good news is that we have a lot of customers and some pretty big accounts that are in the late stage of the pipeline. So we're hoping for it to close soon. That will have a direct impact on revenue, that will have a direct impact on volume, that will have a direct impact on the ecosystem numbers that we have in the platform. Some of them are in our core commodity markets, which are copper and aluminum, but we're really excited that some of them are as a result of this new outreach we've been doing in other commodities.
Okay. And is the number of companies testing your platform increasing? Because according to your most recent presentation, there were nearly 200 names in your ecosystem. Does that mean 200 potential clients too?
It does. Yep. But those are So it's a good way to think of customers in 3 stages. An active customer, which means that they're paying us money to use the platform broadly for their business. Free counterparties, which are connected to our platform and sharing data seamlessly for those paying customers. So they are either suppliers or buyers of those customers. So Codelco is our paying customer. Codelco sells to hundreds of customers throughout the world. Those customers get a free account, and that's kind of the freemium counterparties that we classify. And then there's
and that's how you build MineHub's network effect, right?
Exactly. And then that's different from our sales prospects or potential customers. So our sales team works very hard to build a sales pipeline of potential customers, which is customers outside of our existing ecosystem that we're introducing MineHub to, that we're explaining the value proposition to, that we are in the process of explaining to them why they should be using the platform. And those are the prospects that I refer to when I talk about the sales pipeline. And we have a very sort of rigorous process for tracking that with different stages, everything from like introduction to the last stage is the contract negotiation phase. And so those prospective companies in the sales pipeline is way more than 200. Okay. I don't know the exact number. It's over 1,000. It's many, many companies that we are in conversations with. But as we talked about,
over 1,000.
There are many, many, many opportunities. Now that we've expanded our outreach outside of copper and aluminum, and now that we can leverage AI tools, we have been able to do more outreach than ever before, which is why we're getting more meetings and more opportunities than ever before. So even if the sales cycle takes 12 months, which hopefully it compresses, but even if it's 12 months, we are starting the clock ticking much sooner and many, many more customers than ever before. We weren't doing that before, where we were taking a much more targeted approach, but now we're taking a much more aggressive and much broader approach to outreach.
That's why you invested more in your sales team, right? Which Erica commented on the last conference call.
Monica.
Yeah, Monica. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yes. So we did hire, we hired a new salesperson. We also moved somebody who had been from another team to focus on market strategy and sales. We've increased our budget for tooling. So AI has been really powerful and really effective in content creation, in email campaigns, in LinkedIn messaging. So we've increased our budget in tooling and really focused a lot more on aggressive outreach.
And what percentage of these potential clients do you expect to convert into paying customers? What would be a reasonable number in your view? Would counting on, let's say, 20% of them be too optimistic? I believe that wouldn't be too optimistic, but can you give us a little color on that?
I think it's way more than 20%. The question is going to be when. So I think we've really invested in creating the right foundation. We have product market fit. We have really strong leaders advocating for us. We have a strong network. We have a tool that's been tested. We have many, many conversations and a huge amount of interest, but every company is going through their own process. And that process will take time. So, I think 80 to 90% is the number. I think the question is when, and that we're super well positioned to convert all of them. It's just going to be when the market is ready, and we're doing all the right things to push that forward. But there's no reason that every single one of those customers is on the list because they look like one of our existing customers and we know that they could get value. They've expressed goals around improving operational efficiency, mitigating risk, improving visibility, getting better reporting. Like they've all said they're all a fit. They all have a need for our tool. So it's just a question of when they go through their process to convert. And we've never been as aggressive as we are being right now from a sales outreach perspective. We really wanted to, we had gone through an acquisition. MineHub purchased Waybridge. We had to integrate the platforms. We integrated the teams, and we had to focus to make sure that our customers did not have any disruption during that time. So post acquisition, I would say the first year after that was really focused on integrating the platform and the teams, ensuring our customers are happy, doing outreach in the market where we're comfortable and where we can. And then in the last year or so, 6 to 12 months, we've invested in sales. We've been a lot more aggressive. Our strategy is secure. The platform is mature. And so now we're really aggressively going to market like we never have before.
Okay, very interesting. Wow. And on the last conference call, you commented that your sales cycle was taking longer than expected. In your view, why are companies taking more time than anticipated to close deals with you, to become your clients?
I don't know if it's necessarily, I think it took us time to accept that the sales cycle is long for large enterprise technology and to really recognize change management in an old school industry is a little bit painful. But it's also very, 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 very powerful and transformational. And nothing that's truly transformational happens overnight, really. So that I think is probably the first step. The second thing is that there's been a lot of movement in the market, huge change in prices, in the supply chain dynamics. The tariffs has been a huge and very disruptive issue that our customers have been very focused on, creating a lot of work for the teams, especially the legal teams.
Did the tariffs helped you? What was the impact of the tariffs?
In the short term, the impact of the tariffs was that the teams were so busy focused on that they couldn't really look at our contracts. So in the short term, honestly speaking, it was probably a little bit negative. Now that the dust has settled, it's very, very positive because it really highlights our value proposition. So we are seeing companies be like, if we had your platform implemented during this craziness, my life would have been so much easier. So it's a major silver lining, and we've kind of gone through the hardest part because now the tariff news has come out and copper cathode is excluded, as long with a variety of products. So there's a lot more certainty in the market. Teams are starting to come back from summer vacation, and so we're seeing a lot more responsiveness than we were before. So yeah, I think it was a little bit. I think a little bit of a distraction in the short term, but now a huge benefit because it's really I've had a series of conversations where people have said to me literally, if we had your platform implemented, my life would have been so much easier.
Mm-hmm. Do you have many potential clients in the late stage of your sales pipeline? I don't know if you're going to be able to comment on this, but with the ones that are in the late stage, would you already be able to reach break even?
We do have a number of big deals in the late stage, which I consider to be either in the late proposal phase or in the contract negotiation phase. So in the very late stage.
Mm-hmm.
And if those accounts close, then we would be very close to break even. But we've made a bit of a shift in the last few months because we've seen so many interesting M&A opportunities. We don't want to miss out on the opportunity to not take advantage of them, because even if it extends break even slightly, we're taking a much more of a longer term view where we think that acquiring these companies now at more favorable valuations will better position us for much more explosive and scalable growth in the future. Mm-hmm. So we might see a slight delay on break even, where of course we're focused on managing expenses, we're focused on growing revenue, but we really want to take a medium to longer term view to make sure we're set up to really transform the industry. And so that will be by taking advantage of these opportunities, which may extend the break even slightly.
Okay. And can you give us an update on your partnership with Abaxx? How is it progressing?
Great. So Abaxx is also very much of a long-term opportunity. We collaborate with Abaxx in a couple of different ways. One of them is from a product perspective. So ABAX is really interesting company because in some way it's an exchange, it's a technology company, and it also has a big stake in a project developer, carbon credit company. And so we collaborate with them on all levels, with the tech company on the product side, constantly looking for opportunities to incorporate their technology into our platform. But that's also going to be, that's going to be an ongoing thing that we collaborate with for a long time. On the commercial side, they've been very busy launching new contracts and getting, building out their customer set, increasing the volume of those contracts on their platform. They're seeing a lot of great interest. I know especially on the gold contract, it's been really great. And so they've been building their business. As they start scaling, there'll be more opportunities for us to directly collaborate on the commercial side. But in the meantime, we have weekly calls at least once a week with the ABAX team to share ideas, to brainstorm, to introduce each other to different customers. There we explore launching new futures contracts, ideate on ideas in the market. And so in a lot of ways, we collaborate almost like a family, where we're constantly talking, sharing ideas, looking for ways to help each other. I think in both cases, just like what we were talking about, ABAX creating new contracts and changing the market, the way that the market hedges, is going to also take some time. And they're also going to face the change management issues that we do. And so in the meantime, until they really scale, there's a lot of things that we can do to help each other. And that's really what we've been focused on. But we're very close to the ABAX team.
Okay. And from what I understand, your partnership with SureComp is probably your most important one, right? Could you talk a bit about it and what it means for MineHub? What kind of opportunities does this partnership open up for you?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's more important than ABAX, but it is definitely one of our most important opportunities, especially because we've made a lot of progress with SureComp in the last few quarters. The first is that we spent a lot of time defining a joint value proposition or an integrated solution between their platform and our platform. So how can the MineHub platform and the SureComp platform working together transform the way that commodities trade finance operates? How can we mitigate risks for banks? How can we improve visibility into collateral? How can we improve the way that data is shared? And so we've spent a lot of time, and we're actually going to be sharing a press release soon with a lot more details on that integrated solution, which is now really well defined. Mm-hmm. As part of that, the teams have integrated the two platforms. So we've done an API integration already. That's complete between the two platforms, where we share shipment documents for the presentation of letters of credit, which is a very critical piece of the trade finance process. So we've done the technical work, we've done all of the marketing work on the joint value proposition, and we've also built out a pipeline of prospective customers to sell the integrated solution to. And we've already started having a number of really interesting conversations. So that partnership's going really well. In terms of what it means for us, is it's a really effective way for us to leverage our platform to create a new revenue stream by adding value to trade finance.
Okay, so SureComp gives MineHub's clients access to all this financing and banking part, right, of the business. So in my view, you are kind of becoming a one-stop shop for commodities companies, right?
Yeah, a one-stop shop. The other a good way to think about it is as an integration layer or as the backbone for the industry. Because we have all of the core data that's so important for financing, for trade, for logistics, for insurance, for all of these, for sustainability, for reporting, for regulations. We have the core data that everybody wants and needs, and we automate it from the source. And that's become an incredible competitive advantage for us. And we're integrated with all the key stakeholders in the industry, logistics providers like warehouses or shipping lines. We're connected to the miners, we're connected to the manufacturers. And so data flows seamlessly in a secure platform without anybody manipulating it. And so us being able to share that, to ingest it so that we become that place where our customers can look and see all their data is really important. But being able to share it with the right sources is also becoming very powerful. And the interesting thing about SureComp is that because we have all the biggest challenge that SureComp had with the banks was that the financing process was not optimized because they didn't have direct access to the shipping documents and direct visibility into the shipments, which is what we have on our platform anyway. So by us sharing that, it unlocks this opportunity for really optimized financing, which is what has gotten everybody excited.
And about your partnership with CargoGo, what does it mean for the company, and what should we expect there?
So CargoGo is a bit of a different example. So CargoGo is a tracking partnership. So one of the key things that we deliver to the market is visibility. So visibility into where the material is, whether it's on a truck, on a rail car, or in a container, or in a break bulk shipment. And providing real-time visibility for 100% of all shipments is actually very, very hard. And in order to do that, we need to have partnerships or connectivity with a lot of different sources. So the shipping lines, the trucking companies, warehouses. And CargoGo was really important because we found that in Asia, there were certain shipping lines that we didn't have good coverage on. We were not getting real-time visibility where we couldn't tell our customers where their cargo was exactly in real time in Asia. And so CargoGo provided that coverage so that we could, especially because we have a deep partnership with Sumitomo as a user of the platform and as a partner of MineHub. And so through that partnership, we've been able to accelerate a lot more interest in Asia. And that's where we realized that we didn't really have great coverage for some of the shipping lines in Asia via our other partnerships, but CargoGo has amazing coverage in Asia. So CargoGo was the critical missing piece for us to have 100% global coverage for all shipping lines, even in Asia. And I expect more partnerships like CargoGo. We are constantly looking for the best sources of data as it relates to tracking. And there's a lot of really interesting evolution, like IoT trackers. There's a lot of different things that people are trying because it's a big problem in the industry, is getting real-time tracking to really see exactly where the material is at any moment in time. So I expect to grow that network of partners so that we can deliver on that promise to have 100% visibility constantly.
Okay, great. I'm getting really excited with this interview because there's so much potential in MineHub. And how much operational leverage do you have? I mean, if your revenue grew a lot now, like if it reached 20 million, would you need to increase a lot of your operating expenses? How should I think about that?
Sure. We've invested over the last few years. One of the things that we did with the MineHub and the Waybridge acquisition is that we invested in tools to make our team very efficient and very scalable so that one customer success rep could handle many more accounts than they could before. Tools that help with setting up data automation or customer support or items like that. And so we have pretty strong operational leverage. There are some costs that are associated with adding new revenue, right? So like data hosting and tracking fees, like those are volumetric fees. But we are expecting to see margins settle more around the 60 to 80% range. That's more normal for SaaS companies. And so we expect to have
Are you
a lot
talking
of
about
strong
gross margin?
Yes.
Okay. So that could be a possibility.
Yep, that's definitely what we're projecting. Right now, the team is very lean. So we've really been managing expenses. We're running with a very lean team. But there is still some room to grow within that team. I think if we see a huge increase in revenue, we'll obviously need to add a couple roles, but not even close to the level of the revenue growth, which is what will allow the gross margin expansion.
Okay. And can you talk about your recent press release especially about the actually your recent press releases, right? Especially about the capital raise through the private placement and the warrant incentive program. I mean, what's going on? What were you able to achieve?
Yeah, sure. So MineHub has traditionally financed itself through a series of private placements. And then last summer, we got support from ABAX via the share exchange. And we were also, able to manage our expenses and our revenue. And so we actually went the longest time in the history of MineHub without doing any financing or any private placement. We had a long-term investor that had wanted to participate in earlier rounds but could not for a variety of reasons. So we opened up a private placement for that investor who's been supporting us for many years to participate. And we opened it up, just to do a very small round to get involvement from long-term investors that have been supporting us. And then we had an increase in our share price. And so we had some warrants that were in the money. And, it's pretty common. Companies do warrant incentive programs, which really helps to reward investors that have been with us for quite some time and continue to see the long-term value in MineHub. And so we had about $1 million come in through the warrant incentive program, in addition to the $500,000 private placement that we did. And so that just gives us some nice breathing room ahead of these, second half of this year. A lot of exciting stuff that we see ahead of us.
Okay, great. And what gives you the conviction that MineHub will come out successful in the end, despite recent challenges?
I don't feel challenges. I want to react to the word challenges.
Okay,
I think it's taking a little bit longer than we would have liked, but we're still seeing, we don't really face, big roadblocks or big challenges or, customers that have canceled or a big hack of the system. This is what I would view as challenges. The sales cycle longer than we want, of course, is a frustration, right? But we're super confident in MineHub's future. We see that just with the tremendous amount of feedback and support that we have from our existing customer base, the huge amount of interest that we're seeing in new meetings and new interest from new customers now that we've more aggressively expanded our sales outreach. We're seeing so much interest, more than ever before, that we're super excited. Now that we had all this drama with the tariffs and supply chain disruptions, regulatory changes, all of these macro trends are really making companies realize that they need a platform like MineHub. There is no other platform like ours, right? So it's not like we're competing against another platform. We have a really strong competitive advantage because of our ecosystem, our customers, because we built this platform first. So we have a first mover advantage. And everything that's happened, all this mess happening around us only just helps to increase this need for tools like MineHub. And we're the best and only option in the market. And now more and more companies are starting to see that. So we're super excited about that. We love our team. We spend a lot of time refining our corporate strategy. We're super excited about the M&A opportunities. We're super excited about our partnerships. And we feel like now more than ever, we're really the best position we've ever been to really take advantage of this incredible opportunity. And it's going to take time. Again, that's just something I've come to terms with, is that this change is not going to happen overnight, but we are the only and the best positioned company to really take advantage of the digital transformation of the commodity supply chain, which is an $11 trillion opportunity. And that for us is going to be extraordinary.
Okay, great to hear that. And to close this interview, from your point of view, what is the market? What are investors missing about MineHub? If there's something they're missing.
Yeah, I think that we need to get the story out there more. I think we've been so busy with the company and running, all of our meetings and our M&A opportunities and maintain our existing investor base. I think getting the story out there more is something that we should be doing more, that we're looking at in order to improve. We got some feedback about our webinars that they weren't super helpful, so we stopped doing it. But then we got some feedback about why we stopped doing it. So I think we're still learning in the best way to really get the messaging out to investors. And I think sometimes it's hard to explain the real value of MindHub to somebody that doesn't come from the industry. And so even just improving the way we explain our progress and explain all of the incredible things that we're doing is something that we're constantly trying to improve on. But I think that, together with partnerships like ABAX, we're really laying the foundation for transformational growth. And I hope that investors will recognize that.
Okay. Andrea, I'm out of questions. I don't know if there's something you'd like to add. But
No, thank you so much. It was nice chatting with you.
okay, it's always nice to talk to you too. And well, take care. Bye bye.
Thank you.